For Phil Donahue, there'd be an entire, I think, generation of kids who grew up with it, especially here in Chicago, who grew up watching, a national TV show coming right out of our fair city, on the northwest side of the city too. Not just, not some fancy downtown place. No. Right next to a hospital laundry up on the northwest side, a national, a powerhouse talk show. And I think, honestly, I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing in part because of if you weren't doing what you were doing 30 years ago. Well, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Ro. You watched my program and you turned out anyway. That's
how that worked. Well, I have to go back. There was there's one thing I talked about for years and years and years after I was a kid, maybe 10, 11 years old, maybe homesick one day, and you had Andrew Young, I think it was, right. At the time, who I don't think he was in public office. I think he had been the mayor of Atlanta. Right, and then he had gone, I think he was working. He was UN guy, remember? Yeah, but I think he was even before that. Anyway, you had him, and it was like some inveterate racist Klan member or something on the same show. Right. And it was one of those moments where you just, it was conflict. You couldn't take your eyes off it. It was pure television, but it actually was enlightening, and it moved beyond the kind of stuff that had come before it and now dominates after. And that was a pretty, and I thought, even as a kid, I got that was a brave thing to do. Well, thank you so much, Ro. I hope you'll invite me back. Yeah, and thank you for stopping by. I'm sorry we're out of time to talk about anything else. All right, let's give me a couple of copies of this tape. Anyway. So, it would really, do you think, we'll get to, you're involved in a lot of other stuff here, and I want to talk about the documentary in a little bit, but let's talk about the state of television for a second. Because they did talk about, there was a moment here where people were saying, where is Phil? Why isn't he working? Let's bring him back. And do you think that in today's Steve Wilkos, Maury Povich kind of world, that there's any room for what Phil Donahue did? Who's your daddy? By the way, am I right now the baby daddy? Is it you or me? 5 days a week. Imagine. And that's the way, and the reason they do Who's Your Daddy all those times is because it works. The coin of our realm is the size of our audience. That's, if you don't draw an audience, you're parking cars. Right. So it's, I think, at least important to see that with all the hand-wringing. I wish it were a notch above myself. But this works. If somebody had said to you, though, Mr. Donahue, we want it to go in this direction, would you have said, okay, we'll do it that way? Well, let's remember here, let's be honest here. Donahue was the show that brought male strippers to daytime television. So we weren't... You weren't always enlightening. Absolutely. A little nonsense now and then is treasured by the best of men. My grandmother told me that. Wow, but that's why this works. Well, we didn't do it every day, is the point. Right. We did some serious things. All the presidents. Mm-hmm. Margaret Mead was on the Donahue show. Anne Rand. Mm-hmm. So, we have I think it's about balance, Male strippers did a lot for us. I have to tell you, I had no idea. You had the Sugar Shack guys on? What'd you do? Who was that here or when you went to New York, which, by the way, broke my heart? I don't know why you ever did it. Well, I don't know why you moved that show. I was so bothered by that. I had a wife who had a lot of work that she was doing in New York, and we set the record for Chicago, New York, back and forth. Yeah. Mary Marlo Thomas, by the way, I have to talk to you about that, too, because we were trying to figure out the other day what would be the modern equivalent of that, to have... the king of daytime television marrying, like Jennifer Aniston. It would be like Steve Wilkos marrying Jennifer Aniston now, and that just does not make any sense to me. I just never figured out how the TV talk show guy got that girl. Well, I'm still trying to figure it out myself. But after 28 years, the poor girl is and it's stuck.
Yeah, what is she going to do?
Who was a guest that you really wanted over the years and just it never happened?
Wow, that's a good question. Pavarotti canceled me 3 times.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, my friend, I'm so sorry.
My throat needs are no good.
You don't forget those things.
Right.
I had people in the audience all sad, we promoted it, all waiting, the great man, and they get me, a 150-pound Irish guy with gray hair. Big disappointment. We had to deal with that a lot. People came wanting to see Elvis, and if we had somebody from Social Security, they were ready to run away from me.
That's so good.
But somehow we survived all that. And that's just one,
yeah.
You know. We tried for the Pope. That didn't work.
Yeah, well, now it's an interesting deal, too, because Chicago. Now, Oprah, who I think, probably the closest of your offspring, is she has a very special set of rules about how the people come into Chicago and get out of Chicago. She's flying them in. She makes sure she's responsible for them. They can't do any other press while they're here. She doesn't rely on press junkets or people doing media tours to necessarily come in. She takes that bull by the horns. And in sort of your day of doing this, it wasn't always like that. People had to be kind of coming through the Midwest to be on your show. They were going to come do your show. They're going to come here to do your show.
Right.
But were you paying for their tickets in, or?
Well, we certainly paid their expenses to get to the show.
Yeah.
It didn't cost you to be on the Donahue show. But we didn't have the power to tell people. I don't recall even being interested in that. As long as you came and did our show first.
Yeah.
I don't recall throwing a fit because somebody on our dime was going on somebody else's station. But if you have the power, I can see where.
Yeah, she got it now.
She does, and I assume that she doesn't want the junkets because everybody else gets a junket, and why should she be in there when she wants to be alone and exclusive? And if you have that power, go for it.
You were the audience guy. There was the guy who jumped off the stage, and that was the best move of all times, was to, jump off, and you weren't, it wasn't like you're an Olympic athlete doing it either. You're the average guy going, I got to go talk to this person in the back row. I got to go do this. I got to do that.
Pre-screen question or non-pre-screen, right?
Oh, no.
You didn't know what question.
Just your instinct to look at somebody and go,
wow.
I think that's going to be good?
You can see the enthusiasm, usually. By the way, I finally went to basketball referee shoes after, as the years went by, it got a little tougher to get up those stairs. But that is true. We're very proud of that. That's a radical idea called democracy. I mean, the people who own the airwaves got to use them. That was our wonderful thing we did.
With that. Don't, because that's really ruined.
And if I'm elected, I will kiss a baby.
Was Marlo Thomas the only guest of yours you ever fell in love with?
Marlo Thomas was an impure thought. I don't know if you're Catholic, you have to. No, I had noticed her right away.
Yeah.
And a couple of days later, I called. We had lunch.
Okay, I'm sorry, I don't mean to pry. Just tell me it's none of my business. But answer the question anyway. So you call her and you go, you were just on my show, and she was, in the heyday of her television show.
Right.
I mean, she was the most beautiful woman on television. She was, everybody, the girl next door that Jennifer Aniston eventually became, and ironically enough, she played Jennifer Aniston's mother in Friends. And I mean, did you think maybe this is like above my station, I can't do this?
Sure.
But you did it anyway.
Well, I had a lot of hooks with them. Mm-hmm. But you couldn't hurt me. I mean, I had all the. I mean, I remember the first time I asked a girl to kiss me goodnight in high school. And she said, okay, but make it quick. And so there followed the fastest, driest kiss in the history of all erotica.
Or at least in the history of Cleveland, probably.
Right. So a dude I wasn't.
Yeah.
But, I had heard that maybe she might, answer the call.
She had broken up with Donald Hollinger at this point.
Yes. Donald was out of her life.
Good.
That show was over. And here we are, 28 years later. I know we all have your best wishes. I'd like a couple of copies of this tape so she can listen to your announcement.
She's beautiful. She, honestly, I see her on commercials for St. Jude and stuff. She's stunning.
She's a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, stay right there. I like this. I'm telling Donahue to stay right there. We're going to come back right after our commercial break.
Will we be back in just a moment?
We'll be back. That's right, Phil. We'll be back in just a moment, and your phone calls at 591-89.
The Conn Show on 890 AM WLS.